They can do whatever they want, and at a certain point, there's that erosion of a society so that the character of people moves them to do unspeakable things. I read that paper this morning. Talking to my friend Chuck earlier in the week. I'm telling you, one week where I talked to the rabbi and I talked to Chuck. Chuck is a fairly conservative fellow, and we were talking about why people don't come to church in this area. He was remembering these street signs, almost like speed limit signs in Britain about 15 years ago that people put up. And what it said was, God is dead. Go home, do what you want. Is that why people don't come to church? They want to do what they want? Not be responsible to the light of creation that's got work to do. I know it's hard to figure out what's right and what's wrong. I'm not talking about a hardened code of ethics, like I can write it out really quickly and easily, but there's a difference between that kind of hard, rule-oriented faith and a faith that just ignores the rules. I mean, you know, you can work it out as a community, try and feel through and sense what the angel might be saying. Let anyone who has an ear listen to what the Spirit says to the churches. And then there's the church at Sardis. I know your works. You have the name of being alive, but you are dead. Wake up! Now, I'm not sure how appropriate that is for this angel. In fact, it's less appropriate than some places I've been. My very first call, when I was there for about 3 or 4 months, I went down to my seminary, talked to my advisor down there, Paul Ochtemeier, and he asked me about them spiritually, how I felt, and I told him. And then I came back to church and I preached that Sunday, and I told him that story, that I talked to Dr. Ochtemeier, and I said, he asked me what you were like spiritually, and I said, and I told him, well, you were a little sleepy. And then I looked up and I said, that's not true. I told him you were spiritually comatose. Aren't you glad I've grown up? Not one comment. Nothing. Nobody objected. I don't know. Not one comment did I get. Churches do get stuck, you know. People get stuck in a pattern and they go to sleep. And part of the reason for that is they feel like they can't explode out of themselves and become something new. For that, John says, you are connected to a power that is far beyond anything you can imagine. Wake up and strengthen what remains. That's the message to that church. Let anyone who has an ear listen to what the Spirit is saying to the churches. We moved to Philadelphia, the last one of the dead. He had nothing but good things to say to Philadelphia. He knew they were in a situation where they were under pressure, but they were remaining faithful. And he said to them, look, I have set before you an open door which no one is able to shut. Now, all through the New Testament, when an apostle talks about the open door, he's talking about the opportunity to preach the good news that God is a God of great love and great power, that we are a part of something far bigger than we could possibly imagine. And so the door has been open to this church. The opportunity's been given. That the gospel can move from them into the world, that people can be drawn into a community of faith, that the work can be done to transform a society. Door open here? I think so. Again, I was talking to Chuck. And he said, well, you know how to put people in the pew. I said, yeah. He says, you get people to invite people, have them come to church. I said, yeah, Chuck, the thing is that a lot of the people in my congregation are older and living in communities that are sort of set. You know, to ask them to do something new, I don't know, that might not work. He said, oh, that's not a problem. What you do is you get your 80-year-old members to invite somebody they know who's 70. And then you get your 70-year-old members to invite somebody they know who's 60, and your 60-year-old member, you got the picture? And finally, you got a church full of 20-year-olds. It's funny, but it actually makes sense. Is the door open? Is there an opportunity for us here? Do we have work to do? Let anyone who has an ear listen to what the Spirit is saying to the churches. We are part of something bigger than we know. We are here to attend to the presence of the power of creation that we've seen in the living Christ, however else you want to describe it. The power of creation to bring life where we think there is no hope, to bring a morality, an ethic, an identity that allows us to act with purpose. I'm talking to the angel. That's good news. We're not stuck in this place. We don't have to mourn forever the bad news in the Washington Post. And so I'm just going to ask the congregational angel, as we feed it, because that's where it comes from, as we offer it our wisdom, as we build it and shape it, I'm going to ask the congregational angel, can you hear what the Spirit is saying to our church?